Show starts in 8 minutes. Yum, yum. It's time for a tasty and refreshing snack. Promise to satisfy your hunger, your thirst, your sweet tooth. So visit our refreshment center now. Let's go! Show starts in 7 minutes.
It's refreshment time, folks.
Taste that beats the others cold. Pepsi pours it on. Taste that beats the others cold. Pepsi pours it on.
Yum, yum. It's a meal in itself. Our all-meat super dog. Enjoy one now.
Show starts in 6 minutes.
As everyone knows, rainbows usually have a treasure at the end. Let's follow this one and see if we can find the pot of gold.
Father, and I suppose you've come to claim me treasure.
Well, we'd like to see the gold first.
Faith, and there's better than gold in here, me lad. No, just look here, no.
Candy, refreshing soft drinks, popcorn, ice cream. Well, that's some treasure, but anyone can buy luscious treats like these at the snack bar.
You don't tell me. Do you suppose you could get me a job as a snack bar attendant?
Show starts in 5 minutes.
We're happy to have you with us this evening and want you to enjoy every minute of your stay here. And while you relax and stretch, visit our concession where you'll find something to please you. There are ice-cold drinks, delicious sandwiches, ice cream, coffee and snacks, and many other pleasing treats. Our foods are fresh and tasty, our drinks satisfying and refreshing. They're so good.
You get more out of life when you go out to a movie.
Show starts in 4 minutes.
Visit our snack bar and treat yourself to some delicious Castleberry's pit-cooked barbecue sandwiches. Cook the Castleberry way, slowly over open pits of glowing charcoal, then seasoned with a sauce that's zesty, yet delightfully mild to please the entire family. Also at the snack bar, you'll find popcorn and soft drinks and candy and French fries to go with your Castleberry's barbecue sandwiches. There's plenty of time before the movie starts, so visit our snack bar right now for Castleberry's pit-cooked barbecue sandwiches.
Still plenty of time to come and be served at the refreshment center before showtime.
Show starts in 3 minutes. Show starts in 2 minutes.
Your attention, please. All new hotshot electric in-car heaters have been installed for your comfort and convenience. Just insert heater through car window and turn on the switch. When leaving, please turn switch off and replace on speaker post. Warning, high voltage. For your own safety, do not attempt to repair or remove wires. Do not attempt to open heater unit. If you need assistance, please notify the theater box office or concession manager.
Show starts in 1 minute.
Please remember to replace the speaker on the post when you leave the theater.
And now, on with the show.
WHOOBAZOO, that's who.com.
Website, it's your website, it's your website, it's your website.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're tonight's entertainment.
Look at my butt. Now look at my front butt.
Can I do that?
Open the circuit to the wave motion gun. Open the circuit.
Gun chamber pressure increasing. It's at full.
All the ship's energy is now in the wave motion gun.
I doubt anyone here would recognize civic virtue if it reached up and bit you in the ass.
Oh, did I hurt your feelings?
Well, Magneto's right. There's a war coming. You sure you're on the right side?
Thank you, Twiggy.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Steve's Video Store. Well, unlike our other shows where we have calm, intelligent discussion, there might be a little dirty language tonight, so you better watch out or hide your ears. Or if you're a girl, send all angry letters with a nude photo to my first guest, Joe Pilato.
Absolutely. All right. Sounds good to me.
And with a shout-out, here is my second guest, Gary Khlar.
Thank you very, very much, Carl. And listen, to my lovely wife of 35 years, Carolyn Mimi Khlar, and my son, Ben, his wife, Wendy, and my two grandchildren, Elsie and Brett, in Hilton Head, South Carolina. I know you're listening. Lots of love. Be safe and enjoy the show. And to Tommy Pelham, my brother Omar, and Edo Ross and Noodles, who have been with me since the journey started. Lots of love. Let's go to town!
All right.
That's
First,
beautiful.
I want to introduce my usual suspect, which is the mistress of sci-fi herself, the true boss of this show because we fear her because we love her, and that is Miss Vicki Love.
Hi,
All right.
everyone. How's it going tonight? We have a great show.
And
Hey,
now
when do I
for
get
the
my
real
when do I get
call.
my when do I get my shout out? Don't make me come after you guys.
If we don't introduce Carl in the first minute, he starts to cry. So everybody here's the real Carl.
Greetings, salutations, everyone, and happy Day of the Dead.
A very happy Day of the Dead.
Actually, it's El Dia de los Muertos.
That's right. It's the Mexican holiday.
Yeah, you guys, but you guys are the true deadheads out there, all the fans. And fortunately, we're gratefully alive, not gratefully dead, because you guys keep us that way. Just want to thank you all for your support and tuning in to Steve's video drugstore. The video drugstore. I know. And I know there's a lot of Boston people out there, especially over at Emerson College. One of my old aunts studied acting there with a great guy called Al Corona years ago. But I didn't graduate, so I'm not in the Emerson Mafia. But if you guys want to ever give me work, I can pack the car and I have a yard.
Well, and
Okay,
also
my lawyer just handed me a note.
and
Steve's Video Store, no matter what Mr. Pilato says, does not sell drugs. Unless you come to the back door every third Wednesday, and then Raul will be there with the finest of Mexican imports for you to buy for your movie-viewing edition.
there you go.
There you go. God bless the lawyers.
And to my daughter Rachel in Fort Mill, South Carolina, and my son Matthew, who love this movie and have always been big fans. Remember that yesterday was Halloween, and all they reminded me was that, remember Lori looking at the calendar with all the pumpkins, and the hands came out of the wall. So one day after Halloween, here we are 30 years later.
And if I could give a shout out too.
All right, everybody shout out.
Everybody.
But Rachel, thank you very much for all you did for this podcast.
Yeah, she's awesome. She's awesome, my daughter. She really is, and she should. Let me tell you, the genre, and she should write, direct, and do her own movie. She's unbelievable. She really is. She knows her stuff.
I want to give a shout out to
Richard Rubinstein. May you give a shout out to Richard Rubinstein?
No, I shout out to my family, but I killed them all. In fact, I'm sitting here. I got them in the freezer. So we're gonna have some fava beans with a nice Chianti. So I want to give
Hannibal Lecter. Hannibal Lecter. I love it.
Give a shout out to Caitlyn Jenner for making me never want to buy Vanity Fair magazine again, and to the Kardashians. To the Kardashians, I just don't know what to make of that. But
I understand you're a big fan, Joe.
Is anybody here shocked that someone who appeared in a Village People movie can't stop the music in gay booty shorts would turn out to be a transvestite later in his life?
Hey, does Caitlyn Jenner's box taste like Wheaties?
Oh, very clever. Ooh, very clever, Joe. Oh, my God.
Okay, we have lost all control here. All control.
Unbelievable.
That's their question, though. Come on.
I should say stale Wheaties.
Right. They are, 40 years old?
There's no more snap, crackle, and pop in there anymore.
Come on,
I think the fans probably want to talk about the movie, but I could be wrong.
Leave Caitlyn alone. She's just trying to live a normal life.
Oh, shut up.
Okay.
Come on.
I'm sorry to shut up, you guys, but it's 10 minutes after. And if you thought this first 10 minutes was infamous, wait till you see what we have for you tonight, because what time is it, Mr. Kafer?
It's time for Swing of the Week.
Steve's Video Store
Swing
of the Week.
And here we are this week with the swing of the week. So, before we get into this, I just wanted to let everyone know about the Swing Central site. And we've been getting a lot of false stories on there. Remember, these have to be real news stories. And there were just a lot of fakes this week. What do you think, Stephen?
Yes. The word is veracity. I mean, if something looks fake, it might be good. Like I could say Joe had a 32-inch penis, and that's why he's so famous. He wouldn't mind it. But it would be it'd read like a good story, but it would not be true. Please take 30 seconds to make sure that you do not go to a gag site. Because I want to give away free stuff. I mean, I'm dying to, but you're making it hard to do, and we only don't even have 3 this week because of all those false stories from the false sites, people. Please do your research at least 30 seconds.
Yeah, well, it's a 32-inch penis, not, speaking in 30s, 32-inch.
Yeah. Okay, that's good to know. But I have to go through all these stories, and so this week we've just got 2. So our runner-up this week, we have a story about a tambourine player in a church who was not following the chart. And the choir director got so mad at him, he tasered him. And I'm not kidding about this. This story, actually it's an older story. It comes out of Edmond, Oklahoma. And most churches encourage praise and worship, make a joyful noise to the Lord, but 50-year-old Vicky Sue Beiersdorfer apparently went a little too far and tasered the tambourine player. Now, this story comes from Cheetos DeWitt, and it's a wonderful story. And being a choir director, I can tell you, they don't look at me and they don't follow me. I'd like to have a taser. I'm just saying.
And that reminds me of a joke, Carl. Can I say it?
Yes, I mean, considering that we have the language situation taken care of.
Yeah. Okay, one day a minister was at a church. He looked out and he said, our piano player is down sick. Do any of you good people know how to play music? And one guy put his hand up. He said, I know how to play a piccolo a little. He said, you have it with you? Yes, well, come up here and play with us. So he played for 5 minutes, and he really wasn't that good. Then suddenly from the back of the church, someone screamed, the piccolo player was a motherfucker. And the priest got up real mad, just looking around and said, who said that? Who said that? Who said that? Who said that the piccolo player is a motherfucker? And this one young boy jumped up at the front and said, well, who said this motherfucker was a piccolo player?
Yeah, there you go. I think it was the Tambourine Man. Hey, Mr. Tambourine Man, smoke a bong for me.
God, I love this podcast. I just adore this podcast.
How come her name had to be Vicky? That's what I want to know. Crap.
Oh, Vicky, don't give us that. You know you would taser Carl if you had the chance.
Every single day. Maybe 5 times a day.
But the problem is I would enjoy it.
Oh, jeez.
That's the scary part, people.
You guys need to rent a room, I think.
No.
No, not at all. No,
oh my God.
No.
Oh, I want to all the fans out there that are still with us. We got the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. Great book out there written by a Pittsburgher, Lee Khlar. It's called Making of George A. Romero's Day of the Dead. And if you don't have this book in your collection, I know where you live, and I'll just come and find you, because this is the definitive work on this movie. So go get it. You can go.
Okay, Joe, I have to interrupt because we have to finish the swing here, because we have the swing of the week.
Oh, I forgot about the swing. Okay.
The swing. So
the swing.
The swing.
I've been swinging from my 32-inch stick, so I'll swing all day.
So we have a story. We have a story from David Santos, who's a friend of mine, which I just love, and it was just Halloween. And I hope many of you in the Chicago area, or Toronto actually, went to the lesbian haunted house. Yes, there's a lesbian haunted house. And a blood-streaked hand suddenly juts out from behind a shower curtain. It's holding something, not a knife, not a body part, but gasp, a Diva cup. Could you empty this in the sink? Ask somebody, and gestures towards the sink. And the cup is overflowing with fake menstrual blood. This is not your typical Halloween experience.
I thought all menstrual blood was fake.
Okay. But Killjoy's Castle, a lesbian feminist haunted house, was created by Toronto-based artists Deidre Logue and Allison Mitchell as a response to the hell houses built by radical evangelical groups each Halloween. So for that, my friends, and for David Santos, guess what, people? He has the swing of the week!
Showing.
Joe's comment about Lee Klar's book is very, very apropos. The Making of George A. Romero's Day of the Dead by Lee Klar, forward by Greg Nicotero. I know Joe likes to hear that, but it is a great book. Even the concept, the way Lee put, fans of the movie will love it. It's got a lot of pictures. It takes you through sequentially every day of shooting, and truthfully, I've never seen another book quite like it, particularly with any of George films, and maybe even any other movie. It's just a great work by Lee Klar, so I urge all fans, wherever they may be, get Lee Klar's The Making of George A. Romero's Day of the Dead. It really is. It's an awesome book, and usually when people see it, they go, geez, where'd you get that? And you just try to turn them on to it. He did a great job.
Okay, now that we're done with
the promo.
I want to ask you, was Dawn the first film that you worked with Romero on, Gary?
No, the only film that I worked with George was Day. I had just come off a Broadway show in New York City, and I read for George in New York. Originally read for the role of Rhodes, believe it or not. I never saw the sides for Steele. And one of the geniuses of George Romero was really, he somehow, after he read for Joe, and I know that Joe would have done a bang-up job on his reading. Maybe he didn't even read, I don't know. But I read for the part of Rhodes, and next thing I know, I get a call, you want to play Steele? And I said, okay, who's Steele? And I got the sides to Steele, but I never really read them. So I was Steele, and I thought it was a great choice because of Joe's stature versus my stature, but Joe is the leader of all of us, and the whole juxtaposition of the little man with the power and the bigger guy.
Here we go with the little. Here we go with the little.
Yep. Well, Joe, I am big. I am bigger than you, and if you don't shut up, I'm going to kick your ass anyway.
Here we go. Actually, they sent me the tape of that audition, and I was the one that said thumbs down because they wanted me for Steele. And,
okay. It's the genius of George. It's the genius of George, and it works. I mean, listen, you are the definitive Rhodes. I don't care how many remakes there have been. There's only one Rhodes, and I've always said this wherever we've been, and I love doing a show with you wherever we go.
The colossal of Rhodes.
Colossus of Rhodes. Joe Pilato as Rhodes, and G. Howard Khlar as Steele. And you know what? Even 30 years later, it works. It works.
30 shades of decay. Yeah. But Joe, I think Carl and the gang and Mistress and Stevie. I believe Joe had worked with George before, though. You right, Joe? You had worked with George before.
It depends on which cut of Dawn you see. If you see the theatrical cut, all you'll see is Joe's back and ass.
We won't go there.
No, well, actually, a lot of people have, but they haven't come back. I worked, thankfully for the Dario Argento box set, not to be confused with Caitlyn Jenner's Wheaties box set. Thank you out there for that clap. No, I worked on Dawn. I worked in that whole scene. On the loading dock is in the Argento, and then I had a nice scene in Night Riders with Ed Harris, who at that time was just breaking out, and you just kind of knew that if you haven't seen Night Riders, you actually must, because George has made movies other than the genre, and it's a very, very creative and inventive script. But Ed Harris just shines. You see a very youthful Ed Harris there. That was
film.
When someone asked me that hasn't seen it, they asked me, said, how did George Romero end up like he is, not a big studio guy and all that? I just look at him and say, watch Night Riders. Look at Ed Harris's character. That's Romero.
Yep. Yeah, well, also Monkey Shines and the dark half, he's just, actually, I was watching Showtime last night, and it's, for any of you people that follow the genre very closely, Showtime has this new, I guess they showed it for Halloween, but it's recently made, called Why Horror. It's a 2-hour documentary, and they kind of cover horror from its inception through the Gothic period to present day, and George had quite a few interesting things to say.
Now, one thing I wanted to bring up, because I just noticed this today, but both of you, Gary and Joe, you were both in the same movie, but two different films. You were both in Gloria. So Gary, you actually worked with...
No, go ahead, Carl. Yeah. Joe, did you do Gloria?
I have no idea. I'm owed enough money already. Now you're telling me I'm in a fucking film that I wasn't in, but I should be getting paid.
That was on IMDb. It's on the 1999 Gloria with Sharon Stone.
Oh no! I did the original with John Cassavetes and Jenna Rollins.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
but
I did the original.
Actually did the 99.
Yeah, I did the original with Jenna Rollins, who of course is a brilliant actress, was married to John Cassavetes, and John Cassavetes worked very improvisationally. And I'll tell you what, I just played the cop who has to lead her out of the hotel with that little obnoxious Hispanic kid, but he was good. But I'll tell you what, it's to work with John Cassavetes and Jenna Rollins. Believe me, it was a privilege because they are two of the greats. I mean, Cassavetes has been gone a number of years, and Jenna Rollins, I believe, is still. You ever see A Woman Under the Influence? If you want to see with Peter, a great movie. I mean, to see a woman who's and she's an actress playing. She's phenomenal.
Gary, I love Day of the Dead and Romero, but it just makes me want to bow to you now, knowing that you actually worked with John Cassavetes.
Yes.
Well, my neighbor's name is Gloria, and I did her last night. So does that count?
Yeah.
Because she. But
why not? Why not?
Movie of yours that when I first seen it, it was on VHS, and it just had Tom Savini starring in it. I was like, I got to see this, and it was Effects.
Say again?
Effects. The
Effects.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm listed in the credits. I play Dominic, the cinematographer. Very, very, very interesting movie. It was made ahead of its time. I'm not going to give the plot away too much, but if you guys haven't seen it, I think it's out on Dimension Films. It's double set. They have the film effects and then a reunion 20 years later that we did out at Harrison's house out here in L.A. Called After Effects. And actually, I think I think my billing was a little bit up on the ladder there. I don't know about Savini just being the only star listed, but who knows?
That was when it was like a bootleg. The cover looked like someone had took a very blurry picture of a movie camera and just put it on front of the box.
Yeah.
It looked like they drew on it with yellow crayons. It just had the word effects and then below it, Tom Savini.
Yeah, probably was a
bootleg, a whole 20 seconds on the movie.
Yeah, I think that was like... What?
I just had another question, just very quickly. I just noticed that you worked with Terry Alexander on, I think it's called Inhaled or I Hailed?
Inhaled, yeah. It's actually it's kind of a teaser. The whole film has yet to be made, but we got some nice footage out there. I'm trying to think of if that's available. Are people able to see that over the on? I'm a computer dinosaur. You're talking to two of them actually. So yeah, look it up. Did you access that through the internet, or how did you?
Through IMDb. I was just going to ask you, how was it to see Terry after all these years?
Well, I had seen Terry at convention, so it's not like we were out of touch, but it was great. It was great to be working with him again, and we have a really nice scene. I don't know if it's out there on the, but I believe it is. Inhale was the final title that they decided to go with, and we had a lot of fun. Speaking of that, I would like to, because you brought up seeing Terry, Ken and Pam out there at Cinema Wasteland gave us a wonderful, wonderful 30th anniversary reunion. I think it was probably the best show we ever did.
Hands down.
Hands down. Say again?
Hands down, the best show we ever did. Where we had almost a dozen people from the original cast. And
right.
It was a great show. Cinema Wasteland, Cleveland, Ohio, in the middle of April. Just as bad. What a show! Packed.
Yeah,
packed.
You can
Unbelievable.
Actually takes care of his own. And if you're a guest of his show, you're one of his own, and he takes care of them perfectly.
Kenny and Pam do a wonderful job, and I think Joe would agree with me, because Joe and I love working with Joe. He knows this, all kidding aside. Right. I would much rather do a show anywhere in the world with Joe Pilato than without him, because Joe and I have the ability to literally, no matter how many years it's been, and of course now it's been 30, we can take Joe Pilato and Gary Khlar, G. Howard Khlar, right back into the character of Rhodes and Steele, into the mine 30 years ago, and the fans love it, and we love it too. But the show that Kenny and Pam did in Cleveland was just awesome. It was really incredible. I think Joe will agree with me.
Well, we didn't stop writing from Friday till Sunday, and the only time we stopped writing, and this is out there on the internet, you just look up the 30th anniversary of Day of the Dead, Cinema Wasteland, and we were originally scheduled, I think it was for about an hour of a Q&A with all of us. It ended up going an hour and a half. There were so many people in the room that the fire marshal had to tell people to sit. And people were sitting, they had the doors open, and people were sitting in the hallways. It was
SRO, standing room only. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And you could go on the internet and watch it. Yeah. It was phenomenal. It really was good.
A guy that used to work for me, who I since fired, said, "Oh, well, I don't think this show is properly produced." And I was like, Are you out of your mind? This is the only producer, Jen and Pam and Company, that just put a huge feather in our cap. And I think the fans, too, have greatly appreciated it because nobody really recognized our 30th anniversary. I think they're saving it up for the 31st anniversary, which we know is, I think that's paper mache. And so we'll see at that anniversary because you never know when you won't see us.
Joe will admit to this, too.
Our first break here at 7:30, but I want to say this before we go. These two guys, Gary Khlar and Joe Pilato, if you love Day of the Dead and love the performances, go to IMDb, look up their other titles. You're going to get a bunch of great movies you haven't ever seen before, like the ones we talked about, Gloria or Effects. They were in a lot more in Day of the Dead, and they were actually in some very great movies.
Well, you can watch Legal Eagles, where I play the killer, and I'm trying to blow away Robert Redford throughout the movie, and I do all my own stunt work. Much of it was very, very dangerous, so much so that the Stuntmen's Association, which is the primo out of California, made me an honorary stuntman because of my work in Legal Eagles. And good movie, very physical role for me, but it pushed Robert Redford to actually do a lot of his own stunts, which he did. And worked about 4 months on that, all night shooting down in New York. And I'll never forget the night I wrapped. It was Thanksgiving Eve of 1985. Redford was in a car. Robert Redford was in a car with Daryl Hannah. We were setting up the shot about 4 a.m, and the car came fishtailing back towards me. I had long hair then, really had really long hair, and I looked great. I was in great shape, had the trench coat on with my shotgun under my right shoulder. And Robert Redford got out. It was starting to snow a little bit on Thanksgiving Eve of 85, and he walked up to me, and he said, "Gary, I want to thank you for all your hard work, because by you doing your work, it pushed me to do my own." And could have been a great movie. Unfortunately, I think Ivan Reitman took it in a very different direction than the script really called for. So could have been a better movie than it was. But when people see it, it's a good movie.
Them changing an entire plot structure of one character that totally screwed up the movie.
Absolutely. But it was a good movie with a lot of good people. You know, Deborah Winger, Brian Dennehy, Terrence Stamp. It was a really good movie. I really enjoyed working on that film. So, you know, amongst that, you got that. I got Quick Change with Bill Murray, which was really a movie where Bill had a snit with the studio and wouldn't promote the film, but when people watch it, they say, this is a really good movie. It's very believable. If you robbed a bank as a clown and then came out as a hostage without the clown makeup, it works. So, you know, Joe's got his, I've got mine, but you know, we're not the stars. We're there and we're expendable. We're very susceptible to the editor's scissors. That's why they give an award called an Oscar for the best film editor also, because it's not about us. It's about, you know, it should be about the writing and the story, but that's why you hire the stars. We're just the people who kind of make it work in the background, or if not in the background, we're just some of the periphery characters, you know. So, listen, I've been lucky. I supported my family off of, whatever I did. So I'm very grateful, lucky, grateful, and I give thanks for every small blessing that came my way in a business that is full of a lot of charlatans. Full of good people too, but there's a lot of charlatans and a lot of, what's my favorite saying? Poseurs, sycophants, dilettantes, and bon vivants. The business is full of them.
Okay, we have a break here, guys.
Yeah, with that, we're going to our first break. We'll be back at Steve's Video Store, and one of us doesn't have any pants on.
Master Yoda, I am, and listen, you must to Bazoo.com.
Who are you? I'm no one.
I was raised to do one thing, but I've got nothing to fight for. Nothing will stand in our way. finish what you started.
There are stories about what happened.
It's true. All of it. The dark side. The Jedi.
It's calling to you. Just let it in.
Dispatch Inquisitors to hunt the rebels. The Empire's looking everywhere for us.
We can't just run. We're being pulled out of hyperspace. It's a Star Destroyer!
No. Ubazoo Radio. You shall pay, Black Prince. I curse you with my name. You shall be Blackula.
Blackula. The Black Avenger. Rising from his tomb to fill the night with horror. Blackula. Dracula's soul brother. Deadlier even than he.
You know, he is a strange dude.
You're the nut that ran in front of my cab. You're the only imbecile on this street. Boy.
Blackula.
Look at man, you found. I mean, he's got to be around here somewhere. I mean, now listen, you take your hands off of me. I don't know you.
He thirsts for your blood. He hungers for your soul. Warm young bodies will feed his hunger. Hot, fresh blood will quench his awful thirst.
Make it a Bloody Mary. Are you, into the occult?
No!
How about the, heavy stuff?
What do you think of vampires?
Vampires? I think they're possibly the most fascinating of all.
More horrifying than Dracula. The Black Avenger. Blackula. From American International Pictures.
Zombievers, you hear your sweetheart scream. She tells you why you don't believe her. She saw one in the bathroom, it's no lie. It's a zombiever, contaminated by toxic goo, a random genetic mistake. They're semi-aquatic, they're hungry for you. Boys and girls, stay away from the lake. Zombievers, 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 zombievers. A cheerful gang of college students think they're on vacation. Instead, they're dodging beaver chompers and facing their damnation. Don't board up the doorways and windows, my friend. It won't do any good. These furry brown bastards are fully equipped and they'll chew right through the wood. Say goodbye to your golden retriever. Zombievers, zombievers. So brace yourself, you've never witnessed rodents quite like these. Oh, Jesus Christ, you can't escape. They block the road with trees. Check your bodies for scratches. You can't be too careful. Their claws are a cause for concern. Yes, once you're infected, it's only a matter of time before you turn into zombievers. Spoiler alert. Zombievers. Look out, they're coming through the walls. Your girlfriend's chewing off your balls. Zombievers. 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 Zombievers, baby.
And we're back.
Steve. Okay, shut up, cheerleaders. Okay.
Cheerleaders, go to my dressing room. I'll deal with you after the show. Okay, now that we're back, a big part of Day of the Dead, the holiday, is remembrance of friends past. And Carl, I'm going to get him to tell the big story, but the thing is, this show is more than just a love note to the movie.
Of course.
Carl, tell us who this show really is a love note to.
This is a love note to my friend Ralph Marrero.
Yeah.
Ralph,
yeah.
I met him after the shoot in January of 1985 at Latino Playwrights. And he and I just hit it off tremendously. And in fact, before he passed away, I was telling Gary this, he was on his way back to Albuquerque for a shoot, and he came by Bradford. I was living in Bradford, PA, and spent a day with me there before he went.
That's right.
So
we went through it. I remember it well.
Yeah. And he played Rickles in the movie, and I watched it today, and I had, Gary, you need to know this. I was laughing so hard, and yet tears were coming down my eyes because I miss him so much.
Well,
and
we all miss him.
Absolutely. So, Gary, why don't you tell us a little bit, since he was your, right-hand man in the film, tell us a little bit about Ralph.
Yeah, I drove out right before we shot, and I drove out from Connecticut. It took me about 7 hours to get to Pittsburgh and the Holiday Inn where we all stayed, and that's where I met Ralph, and it was nice to have another New York-based actor there. And Ralph and I can't explain it. Before we ever got into makeup or we put on our soldiers' uniforms, we just hit it off. And I don't know if people understand that when you do a movie, sometimes you act in a vacuum. Not always, but sometimes you do. But Ralph and I hit it off so well that literally, I'll say from the second day, and then once we started shooting, the relationship that you see in the film, Rickles and Steele, Steele and Rickles, it came from real life. Ralph lived literally right next door to me in the Holiday Inn. Joe remembers the Holiday Inn. And same floor, right next door to me, and we palled around. We palled around to the extent that every Sunday, which was our only day off, and in those days the sun did not shine, even on a nice day in Pittsburgh, on a Sunday, Ralph and I would go over to Elwood City, and we found a laundromat, and we would take my car usually, and we'd go over there, and we'd hang out and do laundry for half the day, come back, and then Joe, God bless him, would always be in the lounge of the Holiday Inn, getting the Steelers warmed up on a TV, and the place would be mobbed, and Joe would go, Gary, Ralph, grab a plate. You remember that, Joe?
Absolutely.
Joe would go, did you get a plate? And we'd have a feast. We would eat our brains out. And I will tell you that Ralph, if you remember the scene where Ralph gets torn apart, because the situation is so insane to begin with, the zombies, and then the zombies are not only taking over upstairs above ground, now they're in the mine, and we're all half mad anyway, and Ralph is he's losing it. And he made the actor's choice to basically have his character die laughing, which I thought was brilliant. But you'll see a scene where, as he's getting ripped apart, a zombie bites his fingers. And he said to me, from day one, I had my wedding ring. And he said, Gary, can I borrow, because I don't wear jewelry, and other than, on the ride out. And he said, Gary, can I borrow your wedding ring? I said, sure, Ralph. I said, you need it? He says, well, I'm not married in real life, but I want my character to be a married man, and maybe somebody will pick this up and catch it, and I got a family somewhere in the world and a married guy. So you see his finger getting eaten, and right there's my wedding ring, which makes an appearance in the movie. So, but I mean, I loved Ralph. He was so easy to work with, and people may not, I know you know this, Carl, he was a very talented guy. He wasn't just he was a playwright. He gave me a play he wrote, which I still have here, called Cellmates, and you would think it might have something to do with prison, C-E-L-L. And it's really about the fact that Ralph had beaten cancer at a very young age. And he wrote a play about it. I still have it here. He was a wonderful, wonderful guy.
And
he
I
was really
something real quick.
I wanted to... Okay, go ahead, Steve, and I'm going to jump in.
The question I want to ask real quick is it true that you and him made up that whole caveman scene when Lori Cardill's character was yelling at you?
Yeah, you mean you're a throwback, Steele.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there is, I mean, I don't want to say totally because, we all believe, I think, a good actor serves the writing. But, with George, you have freedom. And if the choice works or it's better, yeah, a lot of it was in terms of the interaction and some of the lines, I mean, just take the bang your deadline on a page that's really dead. And I agonized over it. How am I going to do this to make the line work for probably a week? And then when Joe, when I get up and I do it with that kind of, I'm mocking Rhodes because I don't want to really kill Laurie. And then we all realize that Joe's more on edge than we are. And I get up very reluctantly, after I say bang, you're dead. But the point is, I think Joe's talent is he was able to work off of that and go, Steele. I said, shoot that woman. And, if you don't, I'm going to count to 3, and I'm going to blow your brains off. So then I knew that, Rhodes was seriously, off kilter.
I think it was
here.
5. I think it was 5.
Yeah, you're right. It was 5. I apologize. It was 5.
No, because I have the line, and that's 2 you wasted. But getting back to Ralph, any people that are listening that are actors or desire to be actors, a great master called Konstantin Stanislavski, who he founded the method in many ways. People took it in sometimes right directions and sometimes wrong directions. But he said something, I believe it was in his book, The Actor Prepares.
An Actor Prepares.
That he said there are no small roles, there are just small actors.
That's right.
I used to like to say there are no small roles, just stale buns. Now, when you hear the character, I know my mind went there immediately. When you hear a character named Rickles, given the time period in which the film was shot, everybody knew who Don Rickles was.
Of course.
And that it's almost hard to get that. But what Ralph did, which could have been a fairly just sidekick role, and he found a way to breathe into that character something in a megalomaniac, insane. Of course, we were all insane in our own ways.
Of course.
But he, he took that role and he ran with it. He just fucking ran from the beginning to the end. There, that scene in the of course, the long dining hall scene, and the way Ralph attacks some of the not ad libs, but the interjections that he has. So
he was great.
He owned every minute of it. And getting back to those wonderful days at the Holodome, actually, it was like we'd spend 12 hours underground, never saw the sun, and then the Holodome was not just a hotel; it was like the Starship Enterprise. You had a swimming pool and the thing, but we never went outside except when they did their laundry, and we were glad that they went outside because the laundry at the end of the week was the hotel was complaining, Board of Health came in, but one of the producers, David Ball, English fellow, and those Sundays when we'd be grabbing our plates, and it was always drinks are on the pictures, mate. You know, and these pictures of Guinness Stout, the mimosas, and whatever. His spirit just kept that, because it was a tiring thing. 12 hours underground. The crew always had a couple of cases of beer that were delivered at the end of the day while they were breaking down. And David Ball really kind of kept that whole spirit alive, as well as the AD, Nick. The crew used to have costume days. Some days they'd come in skirts. Some days they'd come in dressed like Indians. There was always something happening behind the scenes to keep. Because the winter in a mine, and I used to blow my nose at the end of the day, and it looked like Timothy Leary put about 1,000 taps of acid. What would come out of my nose? A lot of us got sick with bronchial infections from breathing in the dust.
Dr. Feelgood,
who actually died of an overdose.
And he had that hot nurse.
Yes, sir. We all had hot nurse. I'll have a hot nurse, please.
Hey, Carl.
Yes.
Hey, Carl.
Yes,
now,
I'm here.
Do you know, because it really took us way too long to kind of figure out and piece together what happened with Ralph. If I may digress, I won't read the whole thing. But, and please correct me if I have anything wrong. It's a piece I wrote for a horror magazine a couple of years ago, and it was particularly, a memoriam piece for Ralph. So, in terms of the date, feel free to correct me on my research. I hope I got it right. So after Ralph and I got back, we wrapped, Joe will remember, I think around mid-December of 84, because the film came out in May of 85. So just indulge me for 1 second. I'm going to cut to the real important part. Ralph and I spoke over the phone often, met on auditions around Manhattan, had coffee, and fed off the street energy that actors can only experience in the Big Apple. I last saw Ralph around 1989, right before I began work on Quick Change with Bill Murray. He told me that he was probably going to head out west to check out the scene in L.A., where he would find work in film on the left coast. Now, you can help me here, Carl. On November 16th, 1991, Ralph Marrero was killed in a car accident driving east through Albuquerque, New Mexico. He was 33 years old. Ralph was a great friend, a wonderful actor, and a talented playwright. He left us way too soon, but as the old saying goes, only the good die young. So some Sunday in western Pennsylvania as late fall begins, and you feel winter's chill, the sun will shine, and Ralph will know. God bless you, my friend. Pals forever.
Absolutely. And you sent that to me. I was just so moved by that.
Yeah,
Gary.
Well, it came from the heart. But it's amazing because was that the right date? My research told me it was November 16th of 91 when this happened.
Right, exactly. That is the right date. And what I can tell you is I saw Ralph at the end of October in 91. He came by, it was like the last week of October, and he came by and he was there for a day.
And were you in New York then, Carl?
No, I was not in New York. I was in Bradford, Pennsylvania.
I know it well. No, I know Bradford well, sure.
and we had a music store there, and he came by and said hello and stayed the night and then left the next morning. And so, as far as I know, he was headed out to another shoot, and I think it was in New Mexico. And
it was right outside Albuquerque, but was he coming home or heading towards California?
Well, he was heading towards California when I saw him.
Yeah,
but
I don't know, guys, because I saw Ralph. He was at the San Diego Rep in a production of Agamemnon. And he had called me, and I drove down to San Diego to see the production. It was a very good production. They contemporized the writing and made it kind of a militaristic present-day sort of thing. So the next thing I heard is that he was headed east. And
that's what I heard too, Joe.
But I thought he was coming back from San Diego.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So when we spoke, he had never mentioned that he was going to Albuquerque. That I don't recall. This is a long time ago.
Well, that's how you would go. But that's how you would head home if you were driving.
Right, but it could be easily verified if somebody researched the San Diego Rep and plugged in Ralph's name to find out what year that production was.
No, Carl has it right. I think it's November 16th, 1991. My question is, was he coming back to New York or was he going back out west? As Carl says, he stopped in Bradford, where Ralph and I actually stopped when we left the when we broke for Christmas break and we were done. Right. The movie, we wrapped the film. Ralph and I drove back together. I followed Ralph followed me. It was snowing like a mother. And as we crossed the Washington Bridge, I beeped to Ralph, he beeped to me, and I went on to Connecticut, and Ralph went home to New York. And we drove all the way, and I remember Bradford very, very well. We even stopped there at a diner, I think.
Yeah, there was a good diner there.
Yeah, I remember it very, very well.
We've only got 4 minutes for our last break in the story. I want to end this with is, Carl, tell us your Monster Bash story, what you did there.
Okay, okay. Okay, in relations to Ralph, Tom Savini was there, and I went a couple of times and finally got a chance to talk to Tom and told him what I was planning to do with this podcast and talked to him specifically about Ralph. And he talked to me, Ralph would talk to me about the makeup and how Savini worked with him, and with having that very protruded forehead, that they figured that it would be a forehead rip. And so we had a nice conversation, Savini and I, about Ralph.
One of the beautiful things about Ralph as a person, but as an actor too, is, Joe knows this too, you work with people, whether sometimes forget the stars. Stars are stars, and some are great, and some have attitudes, but Ralph was what I would call, he was a giving actor. He was very easy to work with. There was no attitude with him. And you know what you see of Steele and Rickles, it's all real. It came out of our relationship, those 3 or 4 months in Pennsylvania, and we took it right onto the set, and it was wonderful. I can't think of. Listen, Joe knows this too. With all the work we've all done in whatever arena, we were fortunate enough to work in this life in the business of what they call show. It was a shoot that to this day I think we treasure. It's the only film I can honestly say where, other than a few people, here and there that I walked the pavement with in New York for almost 30 years, auditioned with and whatever. This is a movie that somehow has kind of pretty much, that's why Cleveland was so important last April, because we had 12 people together, and even I hadn't seen Tasso in almost 29 years, and it was like yesterday. It's really kind of a family, and it speaks well of George, and I think somehow the people he hires and the symbiotic relationship, and I've never quite had the feeling, with any other movie, whether it was mainstream or not. It was just a wonderful group of people, and how often can you say, if you could go back in time and pick one particular experience in this ridiculous business sometimes that it is, that's a film I would do over again with the same people. Well, I might get rid of a couple producers, but other than that, George and the whole crew, Michael Gornick, Ralph and Stewin, as Ralph would say, hey, Metallica! Woo! Metallica! Remember that, Joe?
Oh yeah. That was,
that's Ralph to the T. That is Ralph Morero to the T. Yeah, Metallica! Metallica!
Yeah, there was a little curly in there.
Since it's our second break, I want to end it with this, and it's a line from Night Riders, which goes with what you said. It's when they're sitting around the fire, and the guy looks at him, he said, I don't care about money. You guys are not people I work with. You guys are family. That's what I care about, and I always want to keep my family close to me.
There you go.
And it seems like that's what he did. He didn't make friends, he made family.
Well said.
Well, we don't forget 8-10 weeks in a mine. But we threw each other life rafts because normally, on a set, your scene's done. You can either go back to your trailer, or you just choose to sit out in the sun. But we had no place to go. It's funny. I remember one day. Early call. I'm up at 5:30. Go down at 6 o'clock breakfast. The Teamster drives to the mine. I get up. It's 5:30. It's pitch black out, and it's fucking cold. And I hear this sound coming from outside. It was coming from outside. It was like and I'm going, what the fuck is that? So I pull back the curtain. At 5:30 in the morning, there's George Romero scraping the ice off the windshield of his car. Now, I'm going to work. A Teamster's driving me. Yeah, here's the fucking director. He always wore his lucky scarf. He always used to wear a lucky scarf around his neck. And this baby would come on the set. And you got all these zombies, and he's just walking around, the big bear of a guy, and he's got the baby, and they're laughing, everybody's smiling, and you have in the background all this gore and blood. But that image of George scraping the windshield of his car, I just thought it just shows you the kind of wonderful maverick that. And he made different choices. He could be living in Bel Air right now.
That's right.
The John Carpenter success, or many, many others. But he, as that was pointed out, he made choices. But you always knew it was his brand. It was his brand, and the further he could stay. The whole development of the Day of the Dead was based on his refusal, because originally, I don't know if any of you, I'm sure the fans have read the original. It was a big.
I have the original script, though.
Yeah, $8 million. I think it was $8 million at that time, which
was a very different movie.
Good. You had zombie baptisms. You had zombie helicopter chases. And they said, okay, we'll give you this, but you have to bring us an R rating. And he said, no. He said, no, I can't.
Yep.
So they said, well, if you're not going to bring us an R rating, which is, again, one of the reasons it got such a limited release and was released at Easter, and we just had everything going against us. But he said no. And he took that $4 million cut, but it was almost like inventing the atom bomb in fusion, because what he couldn't do on the outside, he put in the inside. And so each character in the movie comes from a specific point of view, and all the points of view are in very severe conflict. And it just generated this. That's why people have come back to it. Because everybody wanted another shopping mall. at that time. Where's the shopping?
And I want to say this. Have you ever seen the original poster and the original trailer of Day of the Dead? The original poster of Day of the Dead is one of the ugliest damn posters I've ever seen.
What is it, Steve? What is it?
The one that looks like an ugly 12-year-old drawn a Dawn of the Dead poster.
Oh, wow. I've never seen it.
It's ugly.
Wow.
And the original trailer shows people just watching it with the Goofy Bub music playing. Huh. And then all of a sudden it shows a zombie eating popcorn in the movie theater for no reason. That was the trailer the Yens had to work with.
Yeah.
Joe, did you ever see that?
No, I haven't, but I'm sure I will.
Familiar with it.
The iconic art, which everyone knows with Bub on the cover, comes from the VHS, where the movie sold like gangbusters. Because it has the amazing art of just Bub standing there and the zombies in the background.
And give out a shout to Howard Sherman on that, too.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, we're all well aware of the Fort Myers just recently had a real tragedy. This is where the exteriors were shot. You know, all the exteriors were in the Fort Myers area.
Yeah, that was a few weeks ago.
And then, they had their zombie walk, and a guy, how many people got shot? 6 people shot, and so...
That was tragic.
And that's the show you and I and Terry did about 3 years ago, right, Joe?
And we were up for it this year, but apparently...
we did it 3 years ago,
Yeah, no, I know. We would have been right in the belly of the beast. They didn't have the funds to bring us in, but they thought about it. It was the 30th anniversary.
We're going to go on through and to do that. Is my producer there, Keith?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm here. Yes, I'm here.
Okay, Keith, you said you wanted to talk Boston with Joe. Go for it.
Well, we should take our top of the hour break first because we are at the top of the hour. So let's take our top of the hour, and then we'll be back. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with more Steve Store.
Steve.
WHOOBAZOO.com.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're tonight's entertainment.
Can I do that?
Open the circuit to the wave motion gun. Open the circuit.
Gun chamber pressure increasing. It's at full.
All the ship's energy is now in the wave motion gun.
I doubt anyone here would recognize civic virtue if it reached up and bit you in the ass.
Oh, did I hurt your feelings?
You know, Magneto's right. There's a war coming. You sure you're on the right side?
Yeah.
Okay, and we're back.
We're back.
Now,
Steve. Okay.
Well, we love our fans, and the fans know we love our fans, man. We really do, because without them, we fail to exist. And thank God they're out there and they love the movie and appreciate what we did. Joe and I always give back that way.
Now, when Keith found out one little fact about Joe, he went nuts. And what was that fact, Keith?
Oh, man, the fact that Mr. Joe Pilato, Emerson College, he had ties from here in the Boston area. B-Town, holding it down. Emerson College, man. Look, I tell everybody, I'm like, you don't know nothing about Emerson. For real, Emerson puts a lot of talent out there in Hollywood. There are a lot of people behind the scenes. There are a lot of people behind the scenes that come from Emerson College. You're smartest people. You're writers. You're comedy writers. SNL alumni. Right. Let them know, Joe.
When I was at Suffolk University, but at that time Suffolk had an interactive program. They were both on Beacon Hill, so they had an interactive program, and that's when I started studying acting. And as I said earlier in the intro, my first teacher was a guy named Al Corona. I don't know if he's still working at Emerson. I have no idea. But he was a great acting teacher. But he always told us a story that he was teaching, and at that time the freshmen, they used to have to wear beanies. They did all this weird. Colleges did. They didn't kill people like they do today in frat societies. That you had to wear a beanie. He said this kid walked into his office. And he had his beanie on, and he said, "You don't know me, but you're going to hear about me someday. My name is Henry Winkler."
Arthur Fonzarelli.
Yeah, that's the kind. Dennis Leary came out of there.
Dennis.
Did you go there?
No, I didn't, but boy, I admire so many that came out of there.
So, Steve, did you go there? Who was the Bostonian?
Keith.
It's me, the producer. I'm a huge fan of Emerson College. I've only done a couple of small films. I was in Plan with The Rock, but I'm a huge fan of Arrested Development, which is a great TV show, great writing. A lot of the SNL alumni. You got all these people who are out there behind the scenes that are.
Oh yeah, I know. No, that's what they call them, the Emerson Mafia out here. That's why I said jokingly. I said I didn't graduate, but was interrupted by a little thing called protesting the war in Kent State. So I got myself out of the university as quickly as possible. And you
studied with Al Corona?
Al Corona.
And then he invented a beer, and the rest is history.
Yeah, I know. It's wonderful. In fact, every week, you live in Boston, he goes, you need to get the New York Times every Sunday and read the arts section of that was the homework for the weekend. Go buy the New York Times, and it was very, 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 very great. He directed me in Glass Menagerie. I had the good fortune of playing Tom, which was actually my first really major stage role. But there was great. And a lot of people don't know actually too. Emerson is also noted for his speech therapy. They have a brilliant program there where people come and study speech therapy for people with cleft palates and things like that. Good school. Should have stayed in.
And my other Boston question for you guys, the Rhode Island Comic-Con is coming up here in a week or so, and the cult status that The Walking Dead has now with these guys being like almost the Beatles when they come to Comic-Con.
Yeah.
For me, I've always been a zombie fan. I feel like that cult status kind of comes from you guys, and you guys touched base on it about how the filming of Day of the Dead went. Until this day, my two favorite scenes from that movie is when Joe dies and he's screaming choke on them, and then before Gary eats the bullet, you cross your chest.
That's right.
5, and then you take that bullet, and I said to myself,
I'm glad you picked that up, because that's a very important point, because it wasn't written that way. The way George had Steele die, it made no sense to me, and I talked it out with him, and he said, show me what you want to do, talk to me. This is why I think most actors love working with George. I said, because Steele is look, there's a lot of foul language in the film. Nobody hates zombies more than Steele. He's very vocal about it, and he's also very physical about it in terms of how he takes them out, whether he shoots them or whatever he does. And I said, George, you got to let me redeem this character a little bit, because a lot of people, when they see the movie, I'll give you an example. Joe and I will be doing the show, and somebody will, after a couple of days, the fans will walk up and say, God, you guys are really nice guys. And we go, well, it's just acting. They think that, they almost think that, like, I'll speak for myself, they think that Steele is this big, foul-mouthed prick. And I said, George, let me redeem him. So watch this. There's a wonderful, and you could make a comparison almost to, Dante's Inferno and, the lower the circles of hell. And we were living, at least this is what I worked off of, we were living in a living hell on earth, in the mine with the zombies. And I made Steele a Catholic, because if you cross yourself the way I did, it makes him a Catholic. So he believed in something. He just wasn't a nihilist. He didn't want to just, kill everything and then that's it. He believed in something, and he was smart enough to save the last bullet for himself, to know he would not become what he hated most, which was a zombie. And George went, go with it. I love it. And you know what? It's. I'm glad you mentioned it, because a lot of fans, there's certain subtleties to everybody's character. If you really look at the work, there's certain subtleties to everybody's work. It's not just this loud, foul-mouthed, brassy, ballsy, the soldiers versus the scientists and then the zombies. There are nuances to everybody's character if you really, really watch it. The scene with Terry and Laurie out in the trailer,
that's a great scene. Oh my God.
It is. And you know what? It took me, and the reason I bring it up, and I told this to Terry a couple years ago, it took me years before I really, really started to, the key to, for me, and to many people, the key to acting is listening. And when I listen to that now, it's such a beautiful scene, and it's so poignant in terms of what it does say. And by the way, it's just as appropriate in the real life we live today, in the real world we live in now. It's a great scene. So there's all these little nuances in the film that if you just watch it for, the gore and the zombies and the swearing, you miss so much. It's more than that.
That scene is incredible, and it is the best
let me say something first.
Well, let me just finish, okay? All I was going to say
first, then I'll let you go, brother.
Okay. Go.
Well, I was talking to Carl about this movie the other week, and I said to him, there really isn't any bad guys in Day of the Dead.
Right, I agree.
Rhodes' character has a lot of heart, because even though he's psychotic, he does truly love his men.
True.
Yeah, those are my
men in there. Do show a scene with you as Steele doing anything truly evil.
Well, when I have to
even when you got mad when that guy got bit, it is justified. I mean, he got one of your friends killed. He's a screw up.
Well, take a look at the scene next time you watch the movie where Phil Kellums gets bit because Tim DeLeo's character lets go of the pole. And the zombie bites Kellums in the neck. So Kellums is dying. He's going to be, and he begs me. He says, "Steele, take me and watch my eyes. Really look at my eyes before I kill him." And believe me, that's all work. That's work you do. That's part of your homework as an actor. That's not just done on the spot. That's stuff you think through. And, if you want, that's what I mean. There's lots of great nuances in everybody's character. And I think it's why the other night when I saw, kind of an edited version where at least it was bleeped, it wasn't looped, it was bleeped in certain places, the movie's aged better. When it first came out, it was like, it was the end of the trilogy. We always said we're like the bastard godchildren, because George is the godfather of the genre. And we were like the bastard godchild. And I really think, look, Night will always be a classic, that grainy black and white look. Dawn, I'll be honest with you, it's a good movie, it's unique, it's got the shopping mall, but I can't tell you the fans that really come up to Joe and I, and they say, you know what, it may have taken some time, but it's my favorite one, because it really is, to me, it's about the trilogy. It's about night into dawn into day. Everything else, to me, comes as it does. It obviously comes afterward, but it's the trilogy. And I think Day has really, I'm not a wine drinker per se, but I understand that, a good bottle of wine, if it ages, it becomes better. So I think that people really start to appreciate Day. It's taken some decades it got 3 out of 4 stars. I'll take 4 someday, but I can live with 3.
Yeah,
I'll tell you a couple things real quick.
Getting back to George's directorial style, George always knew what he wanted, but gave you the latitude to change his mind. And
Absolutely.
That's what happened. That's what happened the day I was the last person to die. Everybody, it's Day of the Dead. Every major character, it took an entire day to shoot.
You all got a special day.
Yeah. And, I came in and they said, okay, all right, don't drink or eat anything. And I was like, excuse me? They said, well, you're going to be trapped in a hole in the ground for 6 hours. And I was like, okay, that's good. I had no idea. But then I said, I need to talk to George. And they were like, well, he's very, very busy. And I said, I know he's busy, but I really need to talk to him. So he comes in, he's big, 6 foot. I'm like 5'8". In flats. I had lifts in my boots. But, I said, George, Rhodes isn't going down without saying something. And he goes, well, no, wait a minute. Don't forget, they've ripped your torso in half. They're dragging you. And I said, well, if the audience is worried about that, then, I'm in the wrong scene. He said, well, what do you think Rhodes would say? And I kind of felt embarrassed. I also didn't want to kind of give it away. And so I said, can I whisper it in your ear like a mafia thing? Can I whisper it in your ear? And he leans down and I said, choke on him. And he stood up and he just went, he said, okay. He said, you got one take because we had 4 cameras rolling. He said, we got one take. He said, don't blow it. And I was like, okay, great, no pressure here. But that's also where butts fuck. If you watch the scene where Bub's chasing me, and he shoots me in the leg, and I'm crawling down the hallway, and I banged my head against the wall. I mean, I really banged. I almost busted the shot. Because it just really fucking hurt. And I was like, you fuck. And then I went, you puss fuck. And then it was like, cut. And then they checked the gate. And, all right, we're moving on. And the sound man goes, wait a minute. That was the guy with what was the girl? Franca. Yeah. He goes, wait a minute. He goes, did he say puss fuck? And George goes, yeah, and I like it. We're moving on. So there's that kind of wonderful combination of a director being, of course, the dictator or the commander, because they have to be, but also having the openness to see something that's, now, when the film was released, yes, we were, in fact, Siskel and Ebert destroyed us.
Yeah, they
panned the film. I was in my apartment in Pittsburgh. Yeah, they destroyed us.
Yep.
They just, this is, and what they did, it's the worst of...
exactly what he said. He said, Romero, this makes me wonder if they even seen the damnable movie. They kept saying, Romero traps people in mind for 2 hours and does nothing with them. I'm like, what the hell? The movie's running time is 96 minutes.
I'll tell you this. I believe out of the 3 films, Night, Dawn, and Day, the best acting is by far away in Day.
Yeah.
I'll tell you
I'll stand by that. The
quick.
best acting is in Day,
please,
uniformly.
This never happened on this show, but Carl, you get a chance to speak. Carl, we have to keep quiet. So sorry, Carl. Go ahead, Carl.
Okay.
Do you guys remember when right before Steele takes himself out? You remember when Steele has to blow open the door that Pilato, Rhodes locks the door because he screws on the golf cart and trying to save his ass, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So if you remember, I have to shoot the door open, but watch this. I run out of bullets in my .45 revolver. And what do I do with every movie you watch when a guy has a 6-shooter or a revolver and he's in a scene, an action scene, what do they do with the gun that they're shooting that has no bullets in it?
They throw it down.
Yeah, they throw it away. What does Steele do? He puts it in his holster. He shoots as many zombies as he can. He blows open the door. He then goes into the little room off the laboratory, and Bub now, who's been taught how to shoot, is down the end of the hall before he gets Joe. So what does Steele do? I still have my gun. I put a new clip in the .45. I put it by my right side of my head, and I imitate Logan. But I still have my gun. I did not throw it away, which every other jackass does in every movie I've ever seen. I put the gun in my holster, I put a new clip in it, and I went, Bub, oh, Bub, come on, you pussy, I'll teach you. I was imitating Logan. But my point being is, I saved the gun. I just thought, it's kind of a non sequitur into what we're talking, but I'm just so sick and tired of watching, let's have a little reality, guys. I know we're suspending it, zombies.
Yeah, even if you don't have, what do they say, bullets, it's still a blunt metal object.
True.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
But now, please, let's give the floor to Carl before he starts thinking of bad things to say about me. Go ahead.
Carl.
Beavers. Okay, so a couple things. Going back to that, the Terry Alexander speech, I just wanted to say that was the best written part of any of the zombie movies that George Romero ever did. I saw that today again, and it is a brilliant speech, and Terry does such a great job with it.
It really is. It took me years to really get. I mean, there were times when I don't really watch a lot of what I've ever done. I really do. I let it go. But when I watched it the other night, but it took me years. I'm being very honest with you, because I thought, it's too wordy. But when you really listen to it, it's really kind of profound, and it's very
profound.
It's very applicable to the world we're living in today, guys. To me, it's very applicable to the world we're living in right now. And Terry does it so well.
And that's the other thing I wanted to say. You just mentioned that the acting in Day is the best of the series, and I would have to agree with that. Okay, not only that, I will say this, and this is a question for both of you. When George Romero talks about the movie on the DVD, on the commentary track, or in the film that they have on it, the documentary. He says that fans of Day of the Dead are really the trolls. They're the ones that really glommed onto that film early and understood it more than anyone else. Amen. And I always felt that, because of all three films, and a part of this is because Ralph and I went to see the film together, and I knew that Ralph was such a part of it, and I watch it twice a year just for Ralph, and for everyone that's involved in the film. But for you guys, being involved in that film, do you feel that not only has it gained in popularity, but that it is to be, like with your death, Joe, that's an iconic death. And Gary, what you do, is just iconic. I think it's a brilliant film, and I really envy you guys for having worked on it with George.
Well, we're very appreciative, because you have to remember that, just to back up quickly, actually 20 years later, I don't know if it was Siskel or Ebert, they came out with a retraction and had nice things to say about the movie. But when the movie came out, and of course had more distribution in theaters, but you have to remember the genre movement was nothing at that time, 84, 85, like it is today. So what happened is that it came out, and let's say an older generation saw it, but then they introduced these people to come to convention with their kids. I love it, because they're passing down the folklore. They they passed it down, and it just slowly, it was like, wait a minute, this is something more than people thought that it was. This is separated from the disappointment about No Shot Ball.
Absolutely.
Something that has a lot to say. Well, and, you know.
Well, like I said,
we don't have a TV show.
They didn't do any business at the box office. And I've already complained about the poster and the horrible trailers that UFC did for it. UFC. Right. But as soon as it hit VHS with the Bub poster, it did gangbusters. I mean, as soon as it hit VHS, the love was there.
Okay, we're going to need to take a break in about a minute. So, and we need to take this break. I just like to say that I haven't said much tonight, but I just want
Is that the mistress talking?
And I just to say that, hello. This film is the only one that has the true heart of what is going on with the people and, how zombies affect people. I think this movie, the way everyone reacts, especially the opening scene where everyone agrees to land the helicopter to see if there is anyone left alive, there's heart in this movie with every single character. And that's why I think that we're talking about this movie years, decades later.
Mistress, I congratulate you.
Yes.
Thank you so much, my dear.
You're welcome. You guys did it, though. It's the looks that you had, the way that you changed things to make your characters sympathetic. I'm telling you, this is the one that has the heart with it. And that's what makes things stand.
Well, I think you should... I thank you, dear, and I think you should have us come out to Fresno for the Raisin Festival. Yes. And we should do a convention out in Fresno. We'll machete heads of lettuce. We could do incredible things.
Joe is flirting with the mistress of sci-fi. We'll go to the break right now. This is Steve's Video Store where everything is insane until it's unsane.
Steve's Video Drugstore. Steve's.
Do you feel lucky, punk? I know you're wondering, is this the booth drafting the circuits or Steve's Video Store? What is it? I sure know what it is. It's Hoobazoo.com.
It all begins as a summer vacation. A young family finds a beautiful old house. It could be the answer to their dreams.
So you are the people who want to rent this house?
What do you mean it's $900 and then it's all ours?
Or the beginning of a nightmare. Burnt Offerings, starring Karen Black.
Are you actually trying to tell me that this house is responsible?
Oliver Reed.
This house is destroying us.
Oh, God!
Betty Davis.
This house is getting so cold.
Burgess Meredith.
This house will be here long, long after you have departed. You believe me?
Eileen Heckert.
When it comes alive, tell them what it's like.
Burnt Offerings. From United Artists. Rated PG. Parental guidance suggested.
All right, we're back here with Hoobazoo.com, and this is the producer. I just got to apologize for everybody who's listening. We had a little bit of dead air here, but these guys are putting on such a great show behind the scenes with the hosting of Steve's Video Store. They're doing a great job, and I just got to apologize because
Steve's Video Store is the best.
I got to turn this back over to these guys. I'm just, as a producer, I'm just having a great time listening to you guys, and I'm just going to let you guys carry on.
Good.
All right.
Okay, now that he said Steve's Video Store is the best, here's the 20 I promised you for saying that.
There you go. I take my T-shirt's a medium because I'm slight.
Okay, now for the surprise. Now for the surprise. You guys don't know this, but I planned this ahead. John Amplis, take it away. John, are you there?
Yeah.
Where's Amplis? It's 90 minutes later. Where's Amplis?
Okay, we're going to be honest. John Amplis called us before the show and said he couldn't make it, but I heard two co-eds giggling in the background. That's all I'm going to say. Without Brady Dawson.
I knew it. I'm glad I shot him in the film.
Yeah, that's right, Fisher. Joe put that gun and blew his brains out. Fisher.
Yep. Yeah, and let's not forget Richard Liberty too. Let's
definitely talk about Richard.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's just man, talk about taking a character and going miles.
Brilliant.
I think what I loved about was Richard Liberty's opening scene. Rhodes is just standing there at his most terrifying. Everybody else is scared. And he's in total don't give a fuck mode.
Is there food?
I think he could have pulled a gun to his head and he wouldn't give a fuck.
Yeah, no, he was just... Richard's a Massachusetts guy, too. You can tell with that Anthony Misha, you can hear his regional. I can't remember where in Massachusetts he originally ended up moving to Florida, but he was he was kind of a cross between Irwin Corey, if that's a blast from the past, and Albert Einstein. He's just a wonderful, charming man, wonderful actor, gracious actor, too.
He was actually born in New York City in 1932.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was born in New York City in 19... Because I wrote a tribute to him for this horror magazine, too. And his sister stayed in touch with me after he passed. And she told me that Richard was so blown away when he started to go out a little bit, actually before we did, Joe. He was blown away by the fact that fans loved the movie and appreciated his work in it. And the scene I love, not only was he brilliant in it, I love the fact that when you are giving him that tirade, and we're in the big hall where we all ate and we all hung out, remember?
Right.
And he's late, and you're basically MFing him, and he's sitting there, and all he's doing while he's twiddling his thumbs with this beautiful, insane look, he's going, is there food?
Yeah.
Is there food? And then he looks down, and he's twiddling his thumbs. I got to tell you, brilliant choice.
Yeah.
For me, it's
and that's what makes the movie so good. It makes these little things make the movie so good. They really do. There's little things that people, if they really watch it, and the true fans do, they pick all this stuff up. It's so easy to dismiss it by just, well, it's a zombie film. Okay, fine. But it's more than that. The Walking Dead, all that stuff does not exist unless these movies come before.
Right.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
And I've said this before, and even Carl took it as an insult, but I consider the Day of the Dead the best film pulled out of someone's ass at the last moment ever made.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Appreciate it. Speaking of...
Am I right that that he basically had to rejigger everything at the last moment because of the budget thing?
Absolutely. I know he did. You guys will know more about that than I do, but...
I have the original script, and it's nothing like the movie that we know as Day of the Dead. The original script is totally different.
If you have Anchor Bay, you can put the first DVD of the 2-DVD set in your computer drive, and there's a file in there that has the entire original script in it.
Yeah, I have a copy here, and it's amazing.
Good read. Yeah, it's a good read. But
it's a totally different movie, and there are characters. For instance, Steele would not exist in the original script. And Ralph wouldn't exist. Rickles wouldn't exist. And so there are characters that would not exist. So in a way, it was a godsend that George ended up, making the movie he made for all of us. The only thing negative is that we're still waiting for residual checks.
We were on AMC twice last weekend, and we're not going to see a dime, but we're going to get the union involved in this again because, it's...
only thing that would have made Day of the Dead better is that either at the beginning or the end, he would have put that famous T.S. Eliot quote on it. This is the way the world ends, with a whimper, not a bang.
Oh, wow.
Right. Yeah. That would have been, well, I guess if they do another remake, because Duddlesons were so terrible. Maybe they'll.
Vegetarian zombies.
There is no remake, okay? There is no remake.
No.
There's no remake.
If you remember, a few years back, they did Day of the Dead Contagium, and it was a piece of crap. And I mean, then I saw, and by the way, a wonderful actor. We all know Ving Rhames is a wonderful actor, but I'm going to tell you something. He played Rhodes in the remake where Bub wasn't Bub. Bub was Bud, a vegetarian zombie. And Ving Rhames played Rhodes, and I'm sorry. I say this, and I'm not... Joe knows I don't schmooze him. I go with Joe when I have to. The definitive Rhodes will be, in perpetuity, it's Joe Pilato. No, there is no remake. I even saw the new remake they tried to make, A Day of the Dead, and I wanted to go in. I said, okay, I'll be objective. I couldn't watch it.
Yes.
Well, I'm going to be honest. The person who is financially behind the Day of the Dead remake used to be an independent soul who would work good. But nowadays, even if you listen to his commentary on Dawn of the Dead, I'm not naming his name, is a money-grubbing whore who only cares about the cash possibilities of the titles upon which he has because of the way a certain relationship ended.
Amazing. Nothing astounds me anymore. It doesn't astound me.
They had approached me to play Rhodes in the remake, but then they wanted an actor with a smaller penis, so they went with Ving Rhames.
They also wanted an actor, obviously, who had a different
He's a very good actor. And I really loved.
That's what I said. He's a wonderful actor.
His work in Dawn of the Dead, I thought was brilliant. And
but here's my point. Just remember this: Arby's, we have the meats.
Yeah.
Arby's, we have the meats.
Right. You put more passion in that role than you did in Day of the Dead.
How's that for a non sequitur?
It worked for me.
Yeah, Arby's. Tell Arby's to send me a check.
Exactly.
I'll get that check before I get one from Day of the Dead. God.
It is odd. I don't think George intended it, but Day of the Dead is really the most timeless of the movies because no one is wearing any clothes or has a hairdo where you can just go look at them and go, yeah, that's the 80s.
Right.
Oh, God.
But I don't know. They spent some money. I mean, you got Ving Rhames, or what was the actress from American Beauty?
Can't remember.
Yeah, she doesn't come cheap.
I think the zombie on the cover of Vomiting was someone who actually was watching the movie, and they just put like a zombie face over it.
Nice one, Steve. Very well done.
You know what I think? We talk about The Walking Dead and that phenomenon, but I really find Z Nation. I don't know if you've tuned into it, but it's on the Sci-Fi Channel, and it's a very, very interesting show. The way
what's it called, Joe? Joe, what is it?
That's actually on Netflix now. Z Nation.
Well,
Z Nation is like the low rent, inbred, insane brother of The Walking Dead.
Right.
Yeah, we're streaming on Netflix too, and we're not seeing a dime off of that. But what are you going to do? Something But also Guillermo del Toro's The Strain. I think it's brilliant. It's on FX. I think it's a brilliant show. And, of course, he just had this movie of his that came out a couple of weeks ago. He's a brilliant artist. Yeah, hello.
Yeah.
We're here.
Didn't we see that?
Yes, we did.
Yeah, Crimson Sky.
It was so beautiful. The film was just beautiful. The new Del Toro movie.
Yeah, he's like the Michelangelo now of genre.
But that is really my problem with him. He's a beautiful artist, but when he gets into his art, he kind of forgets the story.
Yeah, that's true too.
Yeah, but that's kind of a relief these days. Yeah, I think we're so filled with the gore that it's kind of losing it's kind. I mean, if you go back to the Universal classics, it was always just subtly alluded to, and
right.
I don't know. I ask fans all the time, what scares you? Do we have the possibility to be scared anymore? We got zombies doing Dorito commercials.
Right.
What can scare you? And I think the next person that latches onto that, and there's some really good films out there that you catch on. Bugs is one of them, BUGS, and a couple of others. I'm terrible with titles, but what you find is that intriguing is that the less said, the better in many ways, because
leave something to the imagination.
In his book, Dance Macabre, he said the best way to describe horror fans is that scene in The Haunting where the door is bulging in and out. He said there's two types of fans, where the ones that want to know what's behind the door, and the ones who say, screw that, I don't want to see what's behind the door, I'd rather hide.
Right. Yeah. Do we even have the possibility visually anymore to be truly scared in the way that a child is scared over the boogeyman?
There's a movie I've seen last week by Douglas Becker called Interior, and it's basically this guy in a haunted house for one night, and the ghosts are screwing with him all night, and it was legitimately creepy and scary, and they really didn't show much.
Yeah, in fact, there's another film out there, it's called Nemesis, which is kind of a reinterpretation of Night of the Living Dead, but with a twist to it. It's called Nemesis, and I recommend it highly. There's I don't know. But Gary and I will be going to the Actors Home in about another 10 years. We'll be sitting out on a rocking chair.
Right, we'll be sitting on a rocking chair on the porch.
Yeah, chewing tobacco and drinking that moonshine that was promised us.
That's right.
I want to say this, that guys like you, I like following your careers better because unlike the big guys, you take the little roles and you go for it. I have seen big actors, especially Bruce Willis, who's definitely, in a lot of films he's in today, just looks bored no matter what.
Right. I don't know. I think that happened I really like Land of the Dead a lot. I think George's vision of the world where the rich could afford the safety of the timeshare, the elegant timeshare, and have to.
But without George going Hollywood, without George going Hollywood, it ended in a way. It was a Hollywood cast: Dennis Hopper, John Leguizamo, Simon Baker, who now has got a big career. It almost kind of went Hollywood, you know.
Oh, in a way.
I'm going to just jump in. Can I jump in?
Yeah,
okay, so very quickly. The story I have about Land of the Dead is that I was seeing someone with two kids, and we came out of the movie. They were like 10 and 12, and I sat them down and talked about the political implications of that movie. And people were passing us by like, what the hell are you doing? Talking to kids. Why are they even watching it? But, you know, to make those points about those films about Romero, that there's always a political, social point in what he does.
All George's movies.
Absolutely.
And if you really notice in Land of the Dead, all of the zombies are middle class.
Absolutely.
Big Daddy owns a gas station.
Right.
We talked about Lee Klar's wonderful book and really highly recommended to fans all over the world, wherever they may be. There's a college professor. There's a wonderful Catholic university about 45 minutes from where I live. It's in New Rochelle, New York. It's called Iona College, Iona. Very famous for a one tough basketball player many years ago. Joe may know the name Jeff Ruland McNasty, and Jeff Ruland had a big career. But I mean, Iona is a small Catholic university, and there's a guy that teaches there. His name is Professor Kim Paffenroth, and he wrote a hardcover book that is called, and I highly recommend this too, and I'm not shilling, I'm just telling you, I love to read. I'm a prolific reader, and the book is called, and he teaches it. It's called Gospel of the Living Dead, George Romero's Visions of Hell on Earth by Dr. Kim Paffenroth. And along with Lee's book, which fans would love anyway, just because of the way he put together in the pictures, this is a really scholarly tome with a very unique take on George and his films. And he teaches it. It's an amazing. It came out in 2006, and it was published by, of all places, Baylor University Press. Because most big universities, and Baylor University is a Baptist school in Waco, Texas.
Yeah. I just want to ask, are those 2 books available on Amazon?
Oh, they are?
I would imagine so.
Yeah. We will look after the show, and we will put up links if the books are on Amazon so you can have access to buy them.
Yeah, I mean, they're just, I mean, you know, we're so much a part of this. It's just, I love reading, and I mean, reading is the key to life, as we all know. But
Gary, tell the mistress the titles of the books again.
You know, and of course, Lee's is the one that all fans would love. You know, Day of the Dead, The Making of George A. Romero, by Lee Carr. And the other book is Gospel of the Living Dead, George Romero's Visions of Hell on Earth by Dr. Kim Paffenroth. And his last name is P as in Paul, A-F-F, double Frank, E-N as in Nancy, R-O-T-H, Kim Paffenroth. And I will tell you, he wrote, you'll never read a book actually quite like this. And of course, it's got a nice little blurb on, you know, Max Brooks is Mel Brooks' son. And Max Brooks did The Zombie Guide to Survival, and then was it Brad Pitt that made the movie, the other movie? Yeah. Max Brooks has a nice blurb on the back of the book, a fascinating, insightful tribute to the man who started it all. So again, it all goes back to George. But as it should.
Amazon. And since we're talking books, Steve's Video Store started from an article, a column that I have in Wings Chop magazine, which the newest one, issue 8, just hit 2 weeks ago. And that's where I met Carl and Vicky, and they wrote for it too, and so we got together.
Okay.
And started this.
And we're our own little family too. You know, we agree with you. We're a family too, and it's a great thing. So go ahead, Steve. Go on. I just needed to put that in.
No, you guys are awesome. Listen, you know, Joe may have done. I've never done anything quite like this. It's actually quite interesting. And will you guys get feedback from tonight? Will you get feedback?
Yeah, we will.
Yeah, from our regular listeners, yes, and if if others, on Facebook especially.
Let me jump in here because these guys are asking the technical questions. So let me jump in here for Gary. For those who are listening to this show, and for Gary and Joe, what's going to happen to this show now when it's all done? This show will go up as what they call a podcast, which means this entire show. Usually, most guests come on; they're on for about 10 minutes, and then we kick them off. Because usually some of the interview is all you usually can do to keep the listeners engaged. You guys have been on for the full 2 hours. Everybody is engaged. We're loving this show. Good. This podcast will go up. It will be available on what they call iTunes. iTunes is huge. If you subscribe to our show, you can download this show anytime you want and listen to it on your cell phone. I love it. Listen to it on your iPad. So even though we may have 60,000 listeners or whatever at one time, you're going to have people that can access this show and download it at any time. So you can always tell your friends and say, hey, we did this great show for 2 hours. These guys talked about everything and they loved us, and we hit the nail on the head on a ton of subjects. And it's always going to be out there in cyberspace for anybody to listen to at any time. And I just got to say, you know, I actually called the owner of Hoobazoo and said, hey, you need to jump on the list of what's going on. They got a hell of a show on tonight. And wow. He's listening right now, so.
There you go.
Well, you guys did a great. Listen, I mean, I know we're probably coming close. You did a great job, and I mean, Joe. You know, the energy that Joe and I give you is comes off of you people. I mean, without you people and the people around the world who listen and love, you know, George and his movies, and you know, particularly Day of the Dead, which we come from. Boy, we're grateful, and I'll tell you, I just hope I'd like to think we gave them some insight into, you know, everything. And once again, because I always come full circle. So in terms of giving it up for Ralph, you know, God bless him, because he's here in spirit tonight. And I always remember Ralph. I'll never forget him. So I want to just come back to that one central point for Ralph.
And you know what,
I want to say this real quick. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Ralph, up there, and I hope you're watching down and enjoying us, and thank you for getting us all together tonight and letting us have this fun time remembering you.
And he is, and he's laughing like a hyena.
Yeah.
Without a doubt, he's laughing like a hyena.
He's laughing like a hyena.
Ralph, my friend, this is for you, and it's always for you.
If you figure that 60,000 listeners, Gary, that's $1 a head, right? That we could set up.
Hey, all right, Joe.
Yeah, we could set up like a fundraising for when Gary and I have to go into the actors' home.
Well, Roads and Steel will be rocking chair on a porch.
Yeah, $1 a head. We'll do a telethon. We'll have the Roads Steel telethon. Put them in the home.
You know, that way you can get your money from SAG. I mean, that's the way you get your money from SAG.
You know, you have to. You guys must remember this: that when Day came out, there was no such thing as there were no CDs, you know, or DVDs. There was no Blu-ray. None of this technology existed, so we got screwed out of so much.
Right. Right.
Yeah, but I think we can unscrew it. I don't know.
Yeah, we've talked about it for years.
I have a joke. How can you tell an independent film classic of the 70s and 80s?
Well, how, Stephen?
The people who made it didn't make a damn cent off of it.
Yeah, that's right.
True.
That's true.
That's true.
I mean, George got screwed too.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. Well, you know, we're sharing a few things, but I don't want the fans to think the bottom line is money, but it kind of is sometimes. But when we do these conventions and meet the fan, you know, Shakespeare said a wonderful thing. He said, "We are such stuff as dreams are made of."
Yeah.
And in 1984, we made a film, and we were part of George's dream. And then when the film was released, the fans also became part of the dream. So we're all sharing a particular sharing of a dream, and that's what comes out in the conventions. You get it from the fans. You feel it from the fans. And genre fans are the best.
We have 2 minutes left, you guys.
They're not looky-loos. Genre fans aren't looky-loos. They want to talk film. They want to talk art. And so I know we only have 2 minutes left.
Hold on. Before we go, though, I have a quick question about Romero, real quick. You guys were able to work with this guy. In my mind, this guy is a horror genius. The question I have for you guys, I'm not sure if you can answer it. Romero was way ahead of his time. When he did his films, he always made sure that his films were very diverse. And he always had a character that you would not expect to be the hero. Like in Night of the Living Dead, the Afro-American character was the hero, and the white guy was the antagonist of Night of the Living Dead. Right. It was crazy at that time in the 50s and 60s to have an Afro-American as the hero. It's the same thing with Day of the Dead. Day of the Dead loved every character, yet it was so diverse. Was that something that was part of Romero making sure that he kept his movies very diverse and made his characters in a way that at the time those people didn't like or relate to those characters? That's my question to you guys.
Well, I think that just all comes I don't think he intentionally says, "Let me just make people diverse." I think he ends up with people being diverse.
Yeah, Dwayne was in Night because he was the best actor.
Absolutely.
Same with what's his name, Kim Forey and Don. And if you watch Terry and Alexander, he's the one who blatantly says, Well, if I had my way, I'd leave y'all behind and just fly up in a helicopter and lay on an island somewhere. Y'all can just screw yourself if I had my choice.
Well, you know, they are coming out with Menage a Trois of the dead, and that's what happens to Terry, Charlotte, and Lori on the island. That'll be coming soon. Menage a Trois of the dead.
It was Rickles and Steele that was going to do that Menage a Trois on the island. Because she wanted the guys with the biggest dick there.
Yeah, well, he also wanted the guys that stayed alive, too. And if you notice, the heroes do escape. The heroes do escape.
I apologize for all this. Lori Cardell, I apologize. It's not my fault.
She knows. She knows. Well, guys, God bless you on this Halloween.
And sadly, it's 9 o'clock. It's time for us to go. Let's let our guests say goodbye. Say goodbye, Gary and Joe.
Guys, you were awesome. It was a pleasure, and and I know this gets old, but I've been really good about it. But again, to Carolyn, Benny, Wendy, Elsie, Brett, Rachel, Matt, Tommy, Omar, and Eddie and Noodles, lots of love to everybody who's been on my journey for a long, long time. And what they've had to put up with me, I really am very grateful. So I love you all out there listening. I know you are, and I know fans all over the world. If not tonight, they'll hear this. And thank you so much for giving us the opportunity. Because Joseph and I really, I think Joe and I look at ourselves as a team, and we've always done this, and we love doing it. And I hope we were able to impart a little knowledge and maybe a little small smidgen of wisdom somewhere along the line.
Yeah, well, fans, good night. I'll throw your jammies. I hope you're coming down from your Halloween sugar rushes.
And find me a T-shirt. Find me a T-shirt.
They're on their way. We need your information.
And as my shout-out, I like to say goodbye.
You guys were awesome. I send you love and good health as we wind down the year. I send you all love and good health.
Sentimental. I rarely do.
Hold on.
Get sentimental. I'd like to thank Mr. Paul Kafer for pulling this together in the first place. This wouldn't have happened without his work.
Yeah, but thank God Carl found us and called us up.
Yeah, Carl. Thank you, you magnificent son of a bitch. You pulled it off.
Absolutely.
There we go.
If I could say,
Bang, you're dead.
If I could say
you're dead.
You're dead.
You're dead. Okay. If I could say two quick things. Thank you for Rachel Khlar, because it's through Rachel that I was able to get in touch with her dad.
She's my daughter's awesome. She's unbelievable. But listen, I got great kids, a great wife. I got a small circle of friends, and I'll tell you. But my she's the best. Rachel's unbelievable. She knows her stuff. I'll tell you, she really does.
And the other one I want to thank is my friend Ralph.
Ralph, of course.
Up there, my friend.
It's going out right now for me.
I've been wanting to do this for you, my friend. Thank you for everything you ever gave me.
Absolutely. I'll second that.
Welcome.
I second that anytime, anywhere.
Thanks, Joe.
And do you have any last words to say, Miss Vicky?
Oh, I just want to say thank you guys for just a wonderful couple of hours. I have just enjoyed myself. I'm sure anyone who listens to this is going to listen to it 3 or 4 times. You are so giving. You are so wonderful. You've given us so much of yourselves in your body of work. Just thank you, and thank you for being here with us.
Thank you so much, guys. We love you. We love you. And keep up the good work. Keep up the good work, okay?
We will.
And with that, I hope you guys enjoyed the whole Halloween thing we pulled on. And good night. God bless. And don't be all your kids' stickers, please. Leave them alone.
As Jimmy Durante used to say, good night, Mrs. Calabash, wherever you are.
Good night.
Good night, guys. Love y'all. Love you.
Ciao.
Bye, guys.
Arrivederci.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.
Open the circuit to the wave motion gun. Open the circuit.
Gun chamber pressure increasing. It's at full.
All the ship's energy is now in the wave motion gun.
I doubt anyone here would recognize civic virtue if it reached up and bit you in the ass.
Oh, did I hurt your feelings?
Well, Magneto's right. There's a war coming.
Danger, Will Robinson, danger.
You sure you're on the right side?
Hasta la vista,